My twin brother Matt just completed a few drive-in shifts on a DoorDash and some other apps here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And in this video, I want to show you specific orders driving for DoorDash, going over his experience, really any trends, any differences as far as does it get slower at different times of the year, how have bonuses been, and we can translate that to your marketplace and really help you learn the best practices when driving for DoorDash and other apps. So I appreciate you being here. Drop a like. I appreciate you being in the ride along today. So with that, let's bring on Matt here from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So how has it been recently? I wanted to ask you, because if you're watching this, if you didn't know, DoorDash is the market leader as far as sales volume. You know, they've been in the #1 spot for a while. So I want to ask you, well, firstly, thanks for joining. I know you're very busy. Is DoorDash your favorite app so far as we're kind of new into 2021?
Yeah, so just like you said, it really depends on marketplace to marketplace. But in my opinion, from driving hundreds of deliveries, DoorDash, for a lot of surprising reasons, might be the #1 winner.
So how have the bonuses been for you? Actually, let's show you watching this an example here of what Matt saw when he was driving. So here's one of the shifts. Again, we're talking about a few shifts here today. I mean, I can see a $4 peak pay bonus. That's a per delivery bonus. I see $1 in other marketplaces. Have you noticed bonuses have been strong? Have you been seeing it slowing down? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's been very consistent. And this is very true for DoorDash in my marketplace, well, our marketplace now of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So those $4 peak pays, it's so interesting because open up your DoorDash if you're a driver, or here's a thing to know if you're considering driving. So knowing your marketplace, right? I opened my app and I saw $4 peak pay. And all of a sudden you think, wow, that's really, really good. But when you zoom in, the area I typically drive around, it was about $1 peak pay. So just because initially you might see a really high number, when you zoom in and locally or more around your area, it might fluctuate. So before you get on the road, the short answer is if it's a red map, it's really, really good, but it's been very, very consistent.
Well, that's interesting because I know you like really driving in the central area of Pittsburgh. So as we can see here, during this shift, it's $4. But what you're saying is, hey, you may see $4, but really just double check to make sure that it's in the marketplace you like to drive, right?
Yeah, so that's a good clarification. So on this map, yes, it was $4, a great, great peak pay. But that doesn't mean that that area will always be $4
Right.
or that area will be the highest peak pay. So just make sure you double check before you go on the road. But long story short, this is a great sign to see before you go online.
Well, I like $4. Exactly. If you're driving on DoorDash, well, let us know down below in the comments what's the highest peak pay bonus you've seen here. And we're going to get into some orders here shortly in just a second. But I mean, if you see $3, $4, I know over Valentine's Day weekend, DoorDash was offering, I believe, $4 extra basically all day here in Pittsburgh. There's some good opportunities there. And I'll just throw this in there before we get into the first order here, but you have to drive for other apps. Because like Matt said, that $4 might not always be $4 in the day. So if it goes down, if it drops down to $1, then you might want to toggle over to Uber Eats, and then you'll see, well, hey, Uber Eats is now a 250 surge. So I'm going to toggle over, obviously, to the app that pays me the most here. So again, I appreciate Matt joining here. We're both in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania now. So now I want to show you Matt's specific driving here. I'm going to show you some orders here, and we're going to go over some of Matt's decision-making process here when he's driving on Uber Eats, or DoorDash rather, excuse me. So let's get into order number 1. Okay, so tell us what you think here. So this is Five Guys. I know, at least in my experience, I mean, it's kind of one of those places that they don't start making it until you're there, basically. What do you think when you see Five Guys, $9, 1.8 miles?
So that's a really good point. So think about if you're driving and you get an order like this. Well, what are you going to think? Well, for me, I know, like Mike said, typically with Five Guys, they even call out your order when you arrive. So
Right.
they ask you, right, who are you picking up for? And then at that moment, they finalize the order. So it's essentially, and I understand this is to make sure the order is as fresh as possible. So that's a win-win for everyone, right? Because then as a driver, you're going to get a really high rating in theory
Right.
because the food is hot and fresh. And remember to visit that Amazon storefront to get your food
Appreciate
saver
that.
bag.
Appreciate that plug.
I had to. But in these cold, a lot of us are experiencing this super cold weather during this time that we're making
Yeah.
this video. So long story short, when I see Five Guys, I know I'm going to wait a little longer, but in the
Right.
end, it's going to be a smart choice to go ahead and accept that ride.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I think the same thing. Five Guys, again, yeah, I know it's going to take a little bit longer, but I mean, as you can see here, your current location indicated by the blue dot, you're already close. So you can get right in there and say, hey, pick up for so-and-so. They can start that order there.
Exactly.
Well, very good. So that's order number one. Let's move on to our second order number two. And we'll just shout out the Pittsburgh staple here. It's not that one. It's this one right here, Eaton Park. Again, a Pittsburgh staple here. So tell me about this one. This one is $9. I mean, look at that distance. It's 822 yards. Were you kind of thinking the same thing there?
Right, exactly. So when you're thinking about, and we go whether you've been watching for a while or you're a new viewer. So when you think about, is this order a good order to accept? Look at the miles that you'll be driving. And in this case, now obviously it's a very short trip. So this one 100% made sense because I'm getting paid $9 for a very short trip.
Exactly. I like this one. It's a little bit, it's under 10 bucks. If I can get an order that's 10 plus or higher, that's exceptional. But exactly, $9, super short here. So now let's move on to our next order. Now I saw this order here. This is a stacked order, of course. There's 2 assignments for 1 driver. I mean, firstly, look at that route, really driving all across Oakland area here in Pittsburgh. So it's $10.50. I mean, did you think of anything else? Well, talk to me about this. Talk to me about the familiarity of restaurants, because I know you're familiar with both of these restaurants. Does that play into your decision to accept or decline these orders?
So it does, but surprisingly, here's the number one reason that I decide whether or not I should accept the order. The number one reason is, where am I going to end after I deliver these rides? After I deliver these
Right.
deliveries. So I'm going to be in those power strip areas. So on this channel, those high centers of restaurants we call power strips, and you can see based on those icons that look like a little house, that's where that's where the client will be, your customer. So it's going to be in a good area for me. And the rate makes sense because, again, the mileage is low. You can see on the map, I'm not driving that far, even though it looks a little bit like I am,
Looks a little
but
wonky, doesn't it?
a little bit. But think about where you're going to end, because I know I'm going to immediately or
Exactly.
close to immediately get another ride request.
Exactly. I love that. I mean, exactly. We want to stay in those power strips, areas with a lot of density, a lot of restaurants. We want to minimize our miles, get the maximum payout per mile there. And exactly, that one is keeping you in the hot zone, that Oakland area here in Pittsburgh. And you could start in Oakland, you can finish in Oakland. So again, you basically just rinse and repeat, start, finish in Oakland again, and get those orders back to back here. Well, very good. Let's take a look at our next order. Okay, so this one is a stacked order, and if you're not aware, you'll see the indication here. It says 2 orders, obviously 2 orders, this time from the same restaurant here. So talk to me about this one. It's $12. It's $12.14. It's 3.2 miles. I want to highlight positioning here because it's taking us from one area and it's really pulling you up north, a little bit in northeast. What's kind of your strategy as far as where this is taking you?
Right. Again, so a few factors. The number one being how far away from those power strips will I be going? In my opinion, this one was well within that range. But here's a really big power tip. You can see here it's a stacked order. Like Mike said, there's two orders for the same trip. Now, with these restaurants and this restaurant, Honey Grow, they make the food fresh essentially when you get there. You can think of it almost as a Chipotle type of
Well,
environment.
kind of
They're
that Five
cooking.
Guys that we kind of like that Five Guys we just talked about, right?
Absolutely. So think
Okay.
about those restaurants when you get the request. Well, it's common that when that first order is ready, the second order may not be ready. So what I
Right.
like to do is I'll bring two of those food saver bags so I can make sure to keep the first order warm. Because think about this. DoorDash is unique. So DoorDash, the customer is giving you a tip prior to you getting the food delivered. So they're tipping ahead of time, but they are rating you as a driver. It's very important that you still provide really, really good customer service. So when you take those extra steps, it's just going to make sure that your rating stays high and that your tip is going to remain as it is. There won't be any adjustments made. So
Exactly. Well,
small
well
things
said.
go a long way.
Oh, exactly. I mean, you have to acknowledge differences between DoorDash and Uber Eats because there's absolutely differences. I mean, there's differences from Postmates on how these apps work and how the customers, how the customers work basically. So if you know that DoorDash customers tip ahead of time, usually, and then Uber Eats, let's say, typically it's the inverse or tipping after the fact, and the same thing with Postmates, then I would tweak my strategies a little bit differently. Exactly. So I believe we have just one more order here. So let's take a look at this one. Okay, so this is the Thai and noodle outlet. This is another interesting positioning one. This is kind of, sending you around that hook here in Pittsburgh. This is interesting. So $10, 4.4 miles. I'm I think I know why you took this one as far as positioning, but talk to me about this one, why you might have liked where this is starting and where this is actually taking you.
Absolutely. So, this ride, when you're thinking about your strategy, first of all, we want to make things simple for you. So, any ride that's within a small amount of miles, 1, 2, 3, 4 miles, that's $10. That's probably going to be a pretty good order. You're not going to be driving very far. So, any double digit order, that's a great order. But to Mike's point, this one again was going to be a very, very simple order. So I could pick up in Squirrel Hill and I'll be ending in again one of those power strips in Oakland. That's where all the colleges are, all of the restaurants and hotels. So here's a big power tip. In your marketplace, a lot of restaurants are by those colleges and hotels because guess what? A lot of visitors don't want to be cooking dinner, so they're ordering food as are college students. So anytime on this channel I mention being around a college or that's a power strip, that's exactly why. So for that reason, I 100% accepted this order, no brainer.
That is super powerful. And lean in for this. Let me just reiterate what Matt said there. So we want to, of course, drive around the power strips, areas with a lot of restaurants. We understand that. But Matt's understanding is going a little bit deeper in his marketplace. And this applies to your marketplace as well. If you're watching this, is think about maybe those kind of ecosystems within your marketplace. Of course, restaurant density, but those hotels. Think about, okay, option number one is where the restaurants, right? The power strips. And then kind of piece number two is, well, what about my customer demographics? Where I know where the restaurants are, but where are the customers at? So Matt mentioned colleges, right? Maybe you want to be by the dorm to get a lot of orders from there as far as the vicinity, instead of parking, let's say 5 minutes down the road. Or maybe you're comfortable with it delivering downtown or wherever the hotels are. So have you found, in your opinion, do you get a good amount of orders? I mean, it sounds like it from the colleges and the hotel areas versus other places.
So you'd be surprised. So if you're watching and you can only drive maybe an hour or two before or after work or here and there on the weekends, you're thinking, oh, Matt, this sounds great. There's a lot of opportunities to make money, but I'm busy. This is a side hustle
Yeah.
for me. Well, I can relate to that because it's a side hustle for me as well. I do this on the side and I save up for certain goals of mine. Well, you can find trends. So, of course, the dinner rush and lunchtime, but also if you're going after work, those requests they can get pretty busy on the weekends later at night around those colleges because guess what? Kids are ordering pizza and wings and all
Exactly.
those yummy things that we get at late night. So it's really, really flexible. But again, that's a big reason why you should consider multi-apping, which is using two apps at the same time. So you have more choices and you're going to accept the rides that make you the most money. But a lot of different reasons, this market research, go after those hotels, go after those colleges, if you're kind of looking for a place to start.
And here's what I love that. That's super powerful. Drop a like if you appreciated what Matt's dropping here in the video today. But I would almost do an A/B test with my driving. I hear your comments when you reach out, like, I don't know, I'm just starting, or my marketplace is small and this and that. Try to A/B test your driving on every app. Do a lot of, excuse me, split testing, and then look at the data. What do I mean by that? So I would drive maybe a shift on Monday. Monday is my day, right? Or maybe Saturday. And I would do only waiting by hotels or the colleges or wherever it is, or by this, massive apartment complex where I hope to get a lot of customers. And then I would split test that with maybe next Monday, because again, Mondays are my day. And then I would do maybe the plazas or a little bit further out or something like that that's not by the hotels. And I would maybe alternate that strategy. You could do maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then flip it the next week. Do that split testing and see exactly what's the best strategy for your specific marketplace. What do you think about that split testing strategy?
No, I like that. So it's a good place to start, right? So if
Yeah.
you're a new driver and you're watching this thinking, this all sounds great. Like I said, well, where do I start? That's a good place to just start and get to know your marketplace. But even if you're a veteran and you've been watching this and you got the food saver bags and you've done the courses that Mike does and you're fully ready to go, well, we are still learning things about Pittsburgh. I mean, I don't know every single restaurant. It's
Good point.
impossible. So
Yeah.
I'm trying new things constantly because think about it, drivers being added to these apps every single day. So maybe Uber Eats is going really well. Maybe you're getting a lot of smaller orders. We'll talk about this. I know I've heard from you guys in the comments section that whole merger with Postmates, Uber
Yep.
Eats, Postmates. You're seeing a lot of smaller orders maybe now in your marketplace. Well, what's the last time that you tried DoorDash? So these split tests, as Mike said, it's good for a veteran driver. It's good for a beginner. It's always good to just learn about what's changing in my marketplace.
Well, exactly. I mean, it could be a medium-sized marketplace. As far as Pittsburgh, it can be a large marketplace. When I was back in San Diego, California, I'm going to challenge you right now. Again, drop a like. I appreciate you being here. Well, firstly, let me invite you, if you haven't joined the team, join the team of over 27,000 team members here. If you got a value, if you appreciate the content here, consider clicking the join button and joining as a VIP as well. But I'm going to challenge you right now. Here's a challenge point for you. This year, my goal for you is to expand your revenue options. So Matt just mentioned doing market research, looking at your analytics. I just mentioned maybe split testing, maybe A/B testing your driving here. So this year, I think this is the year when you need to challenge yourself. It doesn't matter if you're new or if you're a veteran in this marketplace, is to try not only different apps, because we talked about that last year, but to start to build out the different revenue streams that we've talked about on this channel. That is the goal of this year in 2021, to build out these semi-passive revenue streams, as well as, like Matt and I have mentioned here, is always improving on your active revenue streams. By active, I mean, any app really in the gig economy where we're trading our time for our money. So having said that, well, speaking of money, what a transition here. Let's get into Matt's earnings here. It's going to surprise you. I'm going to show you these numbers firstly. It's going to surprise you, I'm telling you, but we're going to put some clarity here to these numbers. So these are the numbers from Matt's recent shifts here. $77.86, driving 6 hours and 43 minutes of dash time. Now, if you didn't know, that's time when you're actually online. And then your active time, 3 hours and 20 minutes, that's the time when you're actually on assignment. So Matt, Why did you only make $77.86 for almost 7 hours of driving? That is $11.53. What are we missing?
I know. I thought this was the get rich quick thing. I thought we're supposed to make $100 an hour. $11. Matt, I have bills to pay. That's not going to be enough.
$11.50. Exactly.
But here's the thing. Look, multi-apping is the key. So listen to this. If you are doing multi-apping, you're using two different apps, which is what I did in this scenario. So during those times where you see I was online, if you will, for 6 hours, but I was only active for around 3 hours. And the reason was I was multi-apping. So I would pause my Dasher schedule and I would be on an active schedule, but you can pause your Dash. And that's because I got a more profitable, a better order on Uber Eats. And that's exactly why you see that difference there.
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to these earnings here, don't be scared by these earnings. 77.86. The dash time is just when Matt was online. It doesn't mean he's on assignment. If we look at active time, when he's actually on assignment, it's 3 hours and 20 minutes. Now, that is actually $23.96 per hour for active time. So compare, let's say, $24 an hour on active time, because Matt is not wasting that dash time. He may be online, but I can assure you he's not wasting that time when he's driving here. What he's doing, like you mentioned, is multi-apping. So to kind of land the plane on the last point that I mentioned on different revenue streams, if you are going to have active revenue streams, if you're going to trade your time for your money, the goal of this channel on that front is to maximize your success, have you be a top 15% earner with the active revenue streams like, again, DoorDash or like Uber Eats. And that's what Matt just said. Multi-apping, because I can assure you he made great money on Uber Eats. Multi-apping, because frankly, he multi-apped over to Uber Eats because they were paying even better than a DoorDash. So again, as we land the plane on the video today, multi-apping, your recent drive, it's good to see you're getting good bonuses still on DoorDash. That is still a strong performer so far. So as we are slowly breaking into the springtime, do you have any anticipations for DoorDash, Uber Eats, or extending your revenue streams into different mediums? Kind of leave us with some final thoughts here.
Yeah, so for sure, there's always, if you're watching this, and always a medium for you. So whether, again, that is rideshare, whether that's parcel delivery, whether it's a DoorDash or an Uber Eats, if you have a goal and you're trying to save money for your family, for your bills, for anything, for your first house, for a new addition to the family, our goal is to get you the highest dollar per hour that you can get in your marketplace. And that is done through knowledge and research and getting out there and trying anything, trying whatever you're interested in. Try it, see if you like it. If you don't like it, try something else. And you will find that thing where you get out there and it does not feel like work and you're making money for any goal that you have. My predictions for 2021 moving forward, it's only going to get bigger. These are not going away, guys. They're only getting more popular. Food deliveries, parcel, rideshare, people use these apps more than ever. And it's going to skyrocket, in my opinion. And that means we're going to reach our goals faster as drivers and, be able to provide for our families and just get out there and have fun, honestly.
Love that. And friends, let me tell you that, done is better than perfect. And just starting, I know you're apprehensive. You may not, be sure about this whole thing if you're just getting started, or you may see your revenue, declining. I'm doing what I've always done, right? We have to improve. We have to always pivot. Like Matt said, we always have to learn. So don't have that paralysis by analysis. Join the team this year. Again, we have a fantastic team here. Our goal is to really blow up your income this year. And what we're going to do is not only focus on those active revenue streams, but as I mentioned, really creating those passive, semi-passive revenue streams as well to really hit those big numbers that you're looking for this year. So what I want you to do, your next steps here, is to drop a like if you appreciate Matt being on this video. And I am going to link a video right here. I want you to click or tap the screen right here as well for another video that will be recommended for you. And Matt and I will see you in the next video.